Hey YouTube, Kiritwig here, bringing you all my budget Fire King Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post Fire King Structure Deck Reloaded. This is my take on being able to create a Fire King deck from using just the 3 structure decks. I know a lot of people just want to try out the new Fire King support, so utilizing just for what we have in the 3 structure decks, I'm pretty happy with the results of what you can build. The good majority of all the Fire King cards have been reprinted in this set. So with all the new cards, the cards they gave us for the extra deck lineup, you can make a pretty fun and still pretty playable version of the Fire King deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the main deck monsters, we still run the 3 copies of Legendary Fire King Ponix. It is your searcher when it's normal or special summon, being able to add for this card. Or if your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 Fire King Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. And during the next standby phase, after it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. So you either have that or the recycled power of some of your other Fire Kings to summon this card back onto the field for its special summon power. But being able to add any of the Fire King Spell Traps is especially useful. The 3 copies of Fire King High Avatar Kirin. During the main phase, if it's in your hand, you can destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand as a quick effect. And if you do special summon this card, and if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard, except for Fire King Avatar Kirin. Then you can destroy 1 card on the field. You can only use each effect of Kirin once per turn, but Kirin can help to just set up the quick play results of destroying your other Fire King cards, summoning out another level 8 monster onto the field. And then from there, if you have your continuous spell Fire King Sanctuary, you can enact the quick play of getting out your Xyz monsters like Garunix Eternity onto the field and then destroying your own opponent's cards quite easily, since Kirin's destruction effect is a quick effect. And then also the 3 copies of Sacred Fire King Garunix. Normally I wanted to run 2 copies of this card, but since this is the budget version, you want to go full power for your boss monsters, since we don't have as much in the extra deck to utilize for our Fire King lineup. Just being able to, if a monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon it from your graveyard, or if it was there when the monster was destroyed, or hand, even if not. And then if this card is normal or special summon, you can destroy 1 Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster in your hand, or face up on the field. And if you do, this card gains the attack equal to half that destroyed monster's attack it had while on the field until the end of this turn. So special summon power, a way to just boost up the attack power of this card to begin with. A definite 3 of, just because it has such an easy way to at least keep a monster on the field to go up against your opponent. And then also the 3 copies of Fire King Avatar Arvada with the option of when a monster effect is activated on the field to negate the activation, then destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand or face up on the field. So then you have the negation effect against your opponent, destruction power for your other fire monsters, and then also being able to, when it's destroyed by a card effect yourself, to special summon a resource back from your graveyard. For some of the lower numbers, 2 copies of Fire King Avatar Wrong Bali for the same option of when a spell or trap effect is activated while this card's on the field, negate the activation and destroy another fire monster you control. If a face-up Fire King monster is destroyed by a card effect except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. So special summon resources as well for this card, also being a Beast Warrior just like Arvada. It can be searched out quite easily thanks to Tenki, with the last of the one-ofs for our Fire King monsters being the 1 copy of Garunix, the 1 copy of Yaksha, the 1 copy of Barong, and also the 1 copy of Wolfbark to at least be able to grab more resources from the graveyard for our level 4 Fire King Beast Warrior monsters, because then with the extra deck with the Xyz monster Diamond Direwolf, we have more resources to extend into, and Wolfbark is another potential search to add off of Fire Formation Tenki. And then for the rest of the monsters, the only hand trap we got for the monster lineup from the structure deck was Droll and Lockbird. So we're running this at full power, just being able to shut down your opponent's own plays with their search power after they add that first initial card from their deck to their hand. Moving on now to the spells, we run the 3 copies of Fire King Island, having the destruction power of destroying a monster in your hand to add 1 Fire King monster from your deck to your hand. So on resolution, if you just destroy 1 in your hand, adding your new Fire King Garunix, since it wasn't there in the hand initially, but still 1 was destroyed, you can special summon this card out onto the field, utilizing the search power of Fire King Island, and also just having the option to special summon a fire monster from our hand if we just control no monsters as well. For the search power of Fire King Island, we run the 3 copies of Fire King Sanctuary as just more search power, and being able to, with this card, if your opponent special summons a monster, immediately after it resolves, Exceed summon 1 fire monster using only Fire King monsters you control. So we have other Fire King options, but we can also go into other Fire Xyz monsters. It just has to be a Fire Xyz monster to go into. We can go into cards like Coach King, Gigant Trainer, or even just the option of our Yang of the Fire Kings, because then this card can destroy all of our opponent's monsters after they had that initial special summon. Also, the 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki, since we have all the different Beast Warrior monsters to add to our hand, having the additional attack boost, but still just being able to search out, especially some of the particular one-ofs that we run for our Fire King Beast Warrior monsters. I also run, for some of the lower spell numbers, the 1 copy of Circle of the Fire Kings, the 1 Fire King Skyburn, and the 1 Dark Hole to finish off the rest of the spell lineup as well. More destruction power and setup for some of our other Fire King plays. For the traps, I run the 1 copy of Echelon of the Fire Kings, needing to special summon 3 fire monsters, 1 beast, Beast Warrior, and 1 Wing Beast monster. So you have your beast in the form of Avatar Kirin, the form of our Wing Beast in the form of Garunix, and then just 1 of the additional Beast Warrior monsters, thanks to this card, to give you 3 resources thanks to this trap card from your hand, deck, and or graveyard, but their effects are negated. But then you have more of those resources for this card, and then also being able to have a way to banish this card to prevent your opponent from activating anything in response to your Fire King monsters. And then also the 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just for the hand trap that was available in the structure deck, so very useful there. And 3 copies of Torrential Tribute, along with being able to take out your opponent's monsters if you don't have the Xyz monster, a way to benefit from destroying your own monsters by card effects to then activate all of their own card effects to begin with. And then for the extra deck, making full use of what we have, the 3 copies of Yang of the Fire King, another Xyz monster to easily destroy all other monsters on the field when it's Xyz summoned, having the option to special summon back resources depending on how many Xyz material it had as well. It's a good 3 of, since once again we only had 4 cards from the extra deck to work with, so a maximum of 3 for all the extra deck monsters. Gigant or Giant Trainer for needing 3 or more level 8 monsters, but still a true powerhouse to draw a card, and then inflict damage to your opponent as well. And also with this card being more of a bigger powerhouse to go into along with our other Fire King Xyz. 3 copies of Diamond Wolf for the destruction power of detaching material, targeting a beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster we control. So the good majority of all the other Fire King monsters, thanks to this card, with the last of the extra deck monsters being the 3 copies of Hida, the Fire Charmer Ablaze, just the Link monster to at least get more resources in the graveyard in the form of just needing 2 monsters, including a fire monster to summon it out. And then also being able to take our opponent's own fire monsters, which can be pretty useful depending on what you go up against, whether it be Salmon Great or another Fire King deck as well. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, you can have some pretty easy setup. If you have cards like your Fire King High Avatar Kirin for this play, you also have the search or setup of 1 additional Fire King monster. So if you have Garunix, you can go for the Fire King Sanctuary activation, setting up your Fire King Island. And then you can even just pass with this initial play, because then you'll be playing around when your opponent wants to start off their initial summon, because then you can go for the play quick effect during the main phase if this card's in your hand. You can destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand. So you can destroy the Sacred Fire King Garunix, summoning out the Kirin onto the field, and then Garunix will activate since it was destroyed. That was original fire. Special summon this card from your graveyard or hand, even if not. So then you can either have that destruction play, or if you have the 1 additional monster to destroy off of this card, you can have 1 destruction play of another Fire King monster to then activate the Garunix from your hand. This will summon it out to the field, and then all you have to do is rely on your opponent to summon out another special summon monster or play around this play to then be able to activate your Fire King Sanctuary, overlaying the 2 together to then go into your Garunix Eternity for the Fire Kings. This will then destroy all the monsters on the field, all other monsters aside from this card, so then you've wiped out your opponent's own cards thanks to this one and stopped any of their initial summon plays they may have tried to go to as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed just a quick budget version compared to the original Fire King deck that I made for those that just wanted to try something with just the structure decks they picked up for this new Yu-Gi-Oh set. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.